Yeah, student debt is out of control. You might be here because of my tirade on student loans. If not, card right here and link in the description. But after you watch this video, don't click off. If you ruin my watch time, I will find you. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 ways that you can partially or fully pay for college so that you don't have to take student loans. Now, the first and probably the most impactful way is choosing an affordable college. While technically not a way to help pay for college, it substantially reduces your costs, so it has the same effect. And here's why this is so important. Let's take a look at the tuition and fees for a couple of different types of universities. For private institutions, the average tuition is $35,000, which doesn't seem too heinous at first until you realize that's annually. So for a 4-year education, we're talking $140,000 just for tuition and fees. You've still got books and other supplies, maybe room and board, or 4 years of rent at a local apartment. Now, public universities are considerably cheaper at around $21,000 for out-of-state and about $9,700 for in-state. So as you can see, there's a huge variation on sticker price, but luckily you can partially control that by picking the school that you attend. Trying to devise ways to come up with $40,000 is much, much easier than trying to figure out how to come up with $140,000 for that private school. One other thing to mention while we're talking about picking schools are community colleges. The national average for a community college tuition is only $3,500, so by far the cheapest route. A common approach is for students to do their first 2 years at a community college while they're doing all their general education requirements, and then transfer to a 4-year university of their choice to finish up. And this is a great plan. Now, some of you might say, but Ed, I am broke. Even if I choose the cheapest school, I still can't afford it. Fantastic! This is one of the few situations in life where being broke is going to help you. Now, there are tons of grants out there, but most notably is the federal Pell Grant. With this grant, you can receive up to $6,500 per academic year, which, as we've seen, can cover the costs at community colleges and most of the costs at some of the public universities. Now, it's not all or nothing. It's not $0 or $6,500. You could get somewhere in between. And the amount that you're eligible for is dependent on a few factors, but most importantly is probably your parents' income or your personal income if you're considered an independent student. There are several reasons you could be considered an independent student, such as being over 24 years old, being married, being a veteran, being a graduate student, and a few others. So if you have that independent student status, even better, because as a broke college student, it's highly likely that you're going to make less money than your parents. If you want to explore this topic more, you can check out studentaid.gov. I'll drop a link in the description. So the Pell Grant may or may not cover all of your tuition and expenses, but this next item on the list, which is scholarships, can help cover the remainder. There are thousands upon thousands of scholarships out there for just about everything, not just the classic good grades, good academic scholarships. They have scholarships based on ethnicity, major, school, gender, location. The list goes on and on and on. If you can think of a characteristic that separates you from the majority, there's probably a scholarship for it. But you've got to do your research. You've got to find those scholarships and apply for them. Now, these individual scholarships alone usually won't cover a ton, but together they can quickly add up. You can find some of these college scholarships by talking to your counselors in your high school or talking to the financial aid office at the college that you plan to attend and also searching for them online. I'll put a link in the description to a Department of Labor website that has over 8,000 scholarships that you can look through and apply for. And don't worry if you're not a stellar applicant, just apply. A lot of these scholarships get very few applicants, if any at all. So if you're the only applicant, as long as you meet those minimum requirements, you're probably going to get the scholarship. Most states also run scholarship programs for their resident students. For example, I live in Florida and we have the Florida Bright Futures program. Oftentimes you'll have to meet some GPA requirements, hit some testing score cutoffs, do some community service, but nothing unreasonable. You don't have to be some 4.0 valedictorian to get these. And unlike those individual scholarships we just talked about, these state-run scholarships usually cover significant portions of your tuition and fees. We're talking 50, 75, even 100% of tuition and fees paid. Now on to a more interesting topic. You could join the military. This video is brought to you by the United States Army. I'm just kidding, I don't even have subscribers, much less sponsors. Now, to be fair, when I was in high school, the idea of joining the military was laughable. It just didn't seem like something that fit with my life and future goals. But I've come to learn that life has a keen sense of humor. So guess what? I joined the military. And largely because of that, I not only finished college and got my bachelor's degree, I also got a master's degree, all with $0 in student loan debt. In fact, not only did I not pay for college, I was paid to go to college. Maybe in the future I'll make a video on that alone. If I do, I'll put a link in this video to that one. Now, it'll depend on which branch of service you join and what your status is, whether you're active duty, reserve, or National Guard. But the military will help you pay for some of your tuition costs. And they also have various programs for specific degrees and majors. For example, there are programs where the military will foot the bill for your medical degree, which is a substantial financial burden. But of course, it's a give and take. For those types of programs, you'll normally be obligated to serve a certain number of years after you finish school. Now, the cream of the crop when it comes to the military and education is the post 9/11 GI Bill. And this actually came out not too long after I first enlisted in the military. Now, this was so good on paper that I actually thought I was misunderstanding how it was working. It was almost too good to be true. And there are varying levels of this program, but generally, once you've served 3 years of active duty, you'll be eligible for 100% of this benefit. So the post 9/11 GI Bill roughly has 3 parts. If you have the full benefit, the first part is going to pay 100% of your tuition and fees at any public in-state university. The second part is up to $1,000 each year to help pay for your books and supplies. Thirdly, and here's the kicker, they're going to give you a monthly housing allowance to help pay your living expenses while you're in college. Now, the amount that you'll receive depends on where you live. For reference, I live in the Tampa, Florida area, and here, that amount is just over $2,000 per month, every month, while you're going to college. So let's run that back. They're going to pay for your tuition and fees. We're talking 100%. They're going to give you up to $1,000 a year to pay for your books and supplies. And they're going to give you a couple $1,000s every month to live on while you're going to school. What more do you want? Now, of course, there are limitations on how long you can use these benefits. You can't just go to school for 30 years and have them pay your rent. But it's normally enough that you can cover a 4-year degree at a standard institution. And the fifth and final way that you can help pay for college so that you don't have to take those dreaded student loans, and this might sound crazy, but you can get a job. That's right. You can work while you're going to school. It's not just 4 years of classes and parties. During my undergraduate studies, I knew plenty of people who were working part-time and even some who were working full-time. Personally, I worked 40 plus hours every week while I was getting my graduate degree. Now, I know working while you're going to school is not the college dream, but I promise you, working part-time for a few years is better than making a student loan payment for the next decade or two. Now, similar to the military, there are a handful of companies that will help you pay for your tuition costs in exchange for you working for them. So there you have it. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but with all the things covered in this video, you should be able to cover a majority, if not all, of your college costs. So start combing through those scholarships and stay away from those student loans. Peace.